I would now call the second keynote speaker, Olivier Paturet, the General Manager of Zero Emission Strategy Renault-Nissan Alliance. And before I hand the podium to him, I would like to remind you that you can actually test drive cars during a break, if you wish so, or any other time. Please go ahead.
Thank you, Cornelia, and thank you, Brigitte, for this good introduction. We fully share your idea of a vision shared by a partnership of people, action-oriented. This is definitely something that we are fully aligned. Good morning, my name is Olivier Paturet, and I'm in charge of Nissan's zero-emission strategy across Europe. Today, I will focus on one topic, which is why should anyone in this room, why should R20 members be concerned about electric vehicle? And I'll start with just a few facts. In my lifetime, the world's population has grown from 2.7 billion to more than 7 billion last year. And at the current rate, it will reach 8 billion within 10 years. Every year, hundreds of thousands of people join the class of the middle class. And the first thing that middle-class consumers want is a car. Demand from emerging economies have pushed the total number of vehicle sales, new vehicle sales in 2012 up to 79 million. And this number will probably exceed 100 million in 2020. So I guess enough with the numbers. It is clear that we as car manufacturers cannot keep selling conventional cars without a clear consideration on a sustainable planet. This is what is currently happening in China, and this is everyday life, not only in Beijing, but all around China. And last week, residents were asked to stay inside to avoid the highest level of smoke on record. This kind of scenario will unfortunately become more common, and we have no choice but to do something about it. And this is exactly what we've done. And this is why we've come up with a solution: zero-emission vehicles. The United Nations Panel for Climate Change says that the atmosphere must be kept below 450 parts per million. To achieve this, emissions from new vehicles must be reduced by 90%. Improved gasoline and diesel engine technologies, as well as hybrid vehicles, can certainly contribute to CO2 reduction. However, in order to drastically reduce CO2 emission, we need zero-emission electric energy and a clean grid. Today, electric cars are the only affordable mass-market zero-emission solution available. They do not emit any CO2. In fact, they do not emit any type of pollutant, including noise. The electricity to run them can be produced from almost any type of fuel, including renewable energy. It means that it gives consumers and regions the freedom and flexibility to use local resources and help to reduce their dependency on oil. Many countries, and we've heard that yesterday, are investing heavily in solar, wind, hydropower. In fact, if you plug in today an electric vehicle on a Norwegian grid, it will probably deliver zero emission well to wheel. Because as you know, the Norwegian grid is mainly based on hydropower. And I guess it would almost apply the same to Austria, from what I heard yesterday. And this is one important aspect of EV. As the grid gets cleaner, so do electric vehicles. Okay, so EVs are energy agnostics and consume local resources. But do they really work? Well, we'd like to think so, and certainly you're welcome to try the vehicles as you have time during the day. We think that electric vehicles are suitable for daily driving needs. Our electric vehicles feature an autonomy of around 170 kilometers. But how does that compare to a usage profile? 80% of the drivers around the world drive less than 100 kilometers per day. In Japan and in the UK, 80% of drivers drive less than 50 kilometers per day. Many have come to realize that, and we've sold more than 50,000 Nissan Leaf on 3 continents. It is the most popular EV ever. Even in the US, where people have long commutes, the Leaf has replaced many gasoline-powered cars. But why do owners enjoy the EV? Electric cars come in many shapes and styles. This is the Nissan Leaf from the Alliance. It's a 5-seater family hatchback. We began deliveries of the Leaf in December 2010. And the Renault Kangoo is the first electric van from the Alliance and started sales in October 2011. It received the Van of the Year award in 2012. The Kangoo ZE was then followed by the Fluence ZE. Now comes the fun part. Last April, we began selling the Renault Twizy, a fun 2-seater EV, perfect for big cities where people are used to drive mopeds and motorcycles. More EVs will be coming from the Alliance, including the Renault Zoe, which is a subcompact hatchback aimed at European drivers. It's smaller than the Leaf and costs about the same as a similar diesel engine car. Across the Alliance, we have sold about 70,000 electric vehicles, and this was achieved while going through the worst economic period since the Great Depression. We are still ramping up production, and by 2016, we aim to have sold more than 1.5 million vehicles. We expect that the electric vehicle market will account for 10% of all cars on the road by 2020. We are still in the early phase of the development of EVs, and our first customers come to buy electric vehicles because they are eco-friendly. But something interesting happens once they start using their electric vehicle. Instead of talking about efficiency, the thing that most customers like to talk about is how quiet, how fast it accelerates, and it does not vibrate. They also love the fact they don't ever have to go to a gas station again. Instead, they simply plug in their car from the peace and security of their parking place. EVs are also economical and partly for business owners. It depends on the local cost of gasoline versus electricity, but in many places, it costs about 1 to 2 cents per mile to operate an electric vehicle, compared to as much as 10 times this number for a gasoline car. And this is why Renault has taken more than 15,000 orders of the Kangoo ZE from many companies across Europe. Charging is simple. Most cars are parked for about 23 hours a day, so you can charge a car when it's parked. It's like charging your mobile phone. You simply plug it at night and wake up to full charge. Imagine a full tank every morning, and you never have to go to a gas station. Across the Alliance, we offer all types of charging: standard or normal charging, quick charging, and the quick drop battery swap system. The most popular option is normal charging, which is done at home and usually at night when demand is low and tariffs are lower. More and more companies are offering charging facilities for their employees, and charging in the office becomes an option. Finally, public charging is also increasing, and we believe that policymakers can accelerate this trend. Last week, the EU published a Clean Power for Transport package that includes a policy paper on alternative fuel strategy for the 27 European member states. These objectives are to be discussed at the European Parliament in the coming month. The availability of public charging points make EV more practical for people who don't have a standalone garage, who park on the street, or for those who have a multi-unit apartment. It's no coincidence that the top markets for EV have deployed a large number of public charging points and usually offer also financial incentive for the car themselves. These countries are green pioneers and trying hard to reduce their local emission and use their local source of energy. We'll just browse through three examples. The first one in Japan, where the charging network is expanding. There's more than 4,000 public charging points in Japan, including 1,100 quick charging points. The more quick charging points available along the motorways, the more EV drivers use these motorways. One popular highway in Japan, the Tomei Highway, increased quick charging from 2 to 6, and the outcome was that the number of times people used this charger more than doubled. Since last year in the US, EV drivers can begin refueling their cars on the West Coast Electric Highway. When complete, it will run from the Mexican to the Canadian border and help solidify the leadership of California. Finally, in China, China is aggressively working on environmental issues while at the same time cleaning up its grid. China is investing in wind power as a key growth pillar for the country's economy, and they will use this renewable energy for transportation. As I said earlier, EVs can consume a diverse mix of energy resources and make them more flexible. And this flexibility makes a huge difference in critical times. When the tragic earthquake and tsunami hit Japan 2 years ago, electric vehicles, including the Nissan Leaf, served that transportation in disaster area. But EVs can also contribute to reduce inconsistencies in the energy grid. And we're getting closer to smart grids here. Most people charge their car at night, not at peak times, and in some ways this makes energy management easier. Nissan has produced and developed a Leaf-to-Home system to supply electricity from the Leaf battery using a specific power control system. And the 24 kilowatt Leaf battery store electricity can power a typical German home for 2 days. Managing our limited resources is our responsibility in this room. The automotive industry has always worked very closely with governments on issues like fuel economy and safety in vehicle, road safety, but working together to make zero-emission mobility possible and successful is critical. The private sector provides product and technology, while the public sector, in return, can take the lead in developing infrastructure and promoting demand through incentive, tax benefit, and other non-financial incentives. We've established more than 100 partnerships around the world, and we believe this is the foundation for a successful introduction of zero emission. The most important fact is the most simple. EVs are not the futures. They are today's reality. They are fun, practical, and easy to own. Policymakers can help accelerate this trend towards mass adoption. The countries that get the most respect for their green initiatives are actively supporting clean cars. They provide EV customers with financial incentives. They let EVs ride on bus lane. They offer free parking wherever possible, tangible tax benefit to all drivers. Let's continue this dialogue, fruitful dialogue, and use it to accelerate the deployment of sustainable mobility. Thank you for your attention, and I believe we had a short video on the run.
More and more people are concerned about global climate change. They want cars that liberate them from fossil fuels. The Renault-Nissan alliance is investing $5 billion to develop zero-emission cars. and recently launched a family of 100% electric vehicles, including the Nissan Leaf and the Renault Fluence ZE. These cars can be recharged with nearly any type of fuel, including pure renewable energy that harnesses the power of the sun, wind and water. Renault-Nissan set out to make it as easy as possible for owners to use renewable energy to power their cars. The alliance has partnerships with a large number of energy suppliers, including Compagnie Nationale du Rhône in France, who guarantee that its energy comes from 100% renewable sources.
Well, the electric car is expected to help to reduce the pollution in big cities, but if we really want to develop a sustainable mobility, then we also have to address the question of how is the electricity produced. And using 100% renewable energy is a guarantee not to have any carbon dioxide emission from well to wheel.
Some Renault-Nissan customers are even producing their own renewable energy to charge their cars. In California, Dr. Rob Wilder uses the energy from his home's solar roof to power his Nissan Leaf. He can drive up to 100 miles a day using solar energy, and after plugging it in at night, his family's car is fully recharged.
We drive on pure sunshine. Now, we swap electrons back and forth, so we make power, and during the day when we make it, we sell it into the grid, and at night we get electricity from the grid for much cheaper.
Global warming is an issue for everyone. The car manufacturers have to do something about it. Electric vehicle is the only technology that is today available, very convenient and also economical.